Venom made me splooge. After the thought of boredom hit me once, I decided to go to the movies with two good friends to watch the new Venom movie, and I have concluded two things. One, the pricing of the food there is fucking outrageous. I mean, who spends $5 on a fountain drink? You can basically get 5 of those at a McDonald's for blimey sake. And two, Venom 2 was alright. So after viewing this movie, I decided, because I'm already hooked on 5 Red Bulls and had a lot of shit on my mind, I decided to share my thoughts on this movie as a whole. So if you haven't watched Venom 2 and don't want spoilers, then I recommend not watching this. And if you haven't watched Venom 1 and don't want spoilers, then it's okay to watch this because I haven't seen it either. However, I recommend sharing this with your friends like it's in the new hit Bible, because I need more friends on Club Penguin. So you have been warned. Now I'm gonna give you a recap of the movie, and if you don't want to listen to this, then I will place a time on the screen where you can skip forward to my thoughts, also known as the juicy parts. Anyway, the basic plot of this movie is about Cletus Cassidy, a psychopath who killed a bunch of people and is now being considered on death row, until he comes into contact with Eddie Brock and wants him to tell a story to the world about how he was abused as a child. Only for Brock to not do that, and instead Venom finds one of Cletus' victims, putting him on death row. It's only after Cletus bites Eddie and gets the blood of Venom that he then creates Carnage and escapes, and uses it to save the love of his life, Francis Barrison, who has the ability to scream like a Karen who just found out the soda isn't sugar-free, who is trapped by evil people, or not. But while this is going on, Eddie has to deal with the fact that the love of his life is now moving on and getting married, which Venom tries to help him cheer up and cope with it, only for Eddie to snap at him and tell him to fuck off, causing them to go their separate ways, only for them to get back together and make up to defeat Cletus before Carnage kills them and hurts the people he cares about. So they both go to the cathedral and have a final showdown, resulting in both Cletus, Carnage, and Francis being killed. And Venom / Eddie go off in the world to find people to protect, and that's it. That's the movie, people. So, what did I think about this movie? Venom to me felt like an oversized chocolate bar that was yummy but also passed through your bowels quicker than a chili dog from Frank at the Grand Fair. The movie to me felt kind of bland in its own plot. There really isn't much plot-wise, and the only real plot is about Cletus himself. And for a movie about Eddie Brock and Venom, it felt as if they were both side characters in their own movie sometimes. Maybe not Venom himself, because he was actually pretty much fairly used in this movie as a comic relief. But Eddie Brock definitely felt irrelevant sometimes. I haven't really watched the first movie at all, so I'm betting the first movie had a lot more on Eddie as a character than this one. But I feel as if the movie was trying to get Eddie to learn something. Like for him to accept Venom as a part of him and to realize they both need each other. But in this, it never really came to that, or him changing, or even him rising up against the challenge for him to really pay off. Instead, Venom and him just make up and acted like what happened never happened at all. And in a way, it makes all the other stuff kind of pointless. This really should grind my gears more and make me dislike the movie, because it feels like every fucking Marvel movie now, with its same repetitive, same story formula with nothing really new added to it to make it feel real exciting, but it's not. But I actually ended up liking it. Yeah, I don't know what witchcraft this movie used, but it worked. While the movie to me felt really short because of the runtime and of its simple plot, I actually think it works for the movie's favor. The fact that it's simple makes it so that there's more action and thriller in it, and makes the monkey goblin in my brain happy. The biggest highlight, in my opinion, was when Cletus just went on his own rampage, killing dozens of people, because I'm into that kind of thing. However, I feel like this movie would have worked a lot better if it wasn't PG-13. Many of the deaths to me felt kind of weak because they weren't really allowed to show blood or gore, which is understandable because we all know a scene where Carnage sticks his big sloppity tongue down someone's throat and killing him is in no way gory and totally viewable for the kids to watch. Marvel, we got tongue for days. The effects in this movie are fairly decent as well, with all the separate tentacles of Carnage looking all ready and stabby, to the look and the movement of Venom, and making Naomi Harris look like she's back on Pirates of the Caribbean as Tia Talma, only a bit more on drugs. Carnage himself looks amazing. The effects on him make him really terrifying and psychopathic, and every time he was on screen you can really feel the sheer power and fear he could do. And I of course wasn't scared. I only had to step out of the theater once to change my pants, so suck it. I think the casting choice for Cletus was well done too. Woody Harrelson's performance as Cletus was spot on and done very well. Every time he was on screen, he pretty much carried it with finesse and maybe splooge Venom every time he was on screen. Uh-oh, looks like I gotta change my pants again. Tom Hardy was great as well, and these two pretty much carried the movie in my opinion. Even Naomi Harris did favorably well in this, and really sold the psycho lover vibe. Hardy and Venom's relationship was pretty much the biggest highlight in this movie. It was enjoyable to see them both trade banter banter and it was funny and entertaining most of the time. However, I felt as if they were basically turned Venom into a comic relief character. This guy pretty much kills people all the time, and you wanted the joke about chickens? It's not really that much irrelevant, but I feel like the need to have pointed it out. The relationship between Venom and Hardy breaking up felt kind of forced in my opinion. I mean, again, I never watched the first movie, but I feel like Hardy should have been more appreciative of Venom. I mean, he probably saved your ass more times than not, and has been helping you with your career itself as of late. So what Hardy did and kick Venom out was kind of a dick move considering what they have been through. I felt they should have built this up more, or even switch it with Venom breaking the one rule of killing. That way Eddie and him fight over this fact and Venom decides to leave out of anger, only to come to the conclusion that he misses Eddie and decides he will follow his rules. And Eddie realized he misses Venom too, even if he was a pain, but loves him because of that. However, when they got back together, I felt nothing because it was played off as a one-off conflict. So there really is nothing I could feel or be built onto it. Now, because of this, I feel like nothing has really changed for Venom other than the fact they are now traveling to be a protector. Nothing really significant changes or even have much character growth. In fact, I could argue that it got even worse. So with all this being considered, it making me ask the big one question. What was the whole point of all this? Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh. Now I see. And no, I will not talk about the Venom joining the MCU because frankly I'm tired of hearing about it and I don't give a flying flea on a trampoline. So fuck off. Now, I don't want you guys thinking I hate this movie. I don't. In fact, I still like this movie, but when it comes to basic storytelling, it lands flat on his butt. Which I think it's okay for a second movie because you have to spend less time introducing your characters and more about telling an entertaining story. And maybe it's because I haven't watched the first movie, so maybe that tells a lot more of the relationships and characters, but I still feel the need to point this out because I'm a dick, and I have nothing better to do. Now, what this movie does well is being entertaining, and I think that works for a second movie all that considers. However, it's still good to use a sequel as a way to build on your characters and even build up the ante in the story. It's just something that can be improved for a movie. I think the best way to describe this movie is it's basically every Marvel movie, and I hope they don't ruin it because of that. Now that's all I got for you. So long and piss off, my friends.